honestly, in hindsight, I really should have known better. What's up, y'all? It's your girl Nerdy Curls, and today we're gonna have a little bit different video. Normally, like the last, I don't know, all my videos on my channel up until this point have been about like hair, skin, how-tos on stuff. But today we're gonna do a little story about what happened. What happened and how I almost got kidnapped when I was in college. My mom doesn't even know this story. Like, there's a very small handful of people who know this story. My mom is not one of them. I'm sure when she watches this, she's going to be like, seriously? But I'm sorry, okay? So make sure you get you a little drink, make sure you get you your dinner, make sure you get you some popcorn, you know, whatever. Sit down and you're gonna listen to how I almost got kidnapped, okay? So this was back in college. This was my senior year. I had just moved into an apartment by myself. So up until this point, I lived at home for almost my full freshman year, and then my sophomore and junior year, toward the end of my junior year, I lived in a place where like the landlord rented rooms out, which that's a completely different story for another day. If y'all like this story time and you want to hear more stories, let me know, because I got lots of them. But so I had just moved into an apartment by myself. It was a little efficiency apartment, so it had like one living area and then like the kitchen, right? So obviously I moved into this place, so I need to get furniture, I need to get groceries, I need to get all this stuff. So I go to the store. I'm not gonna say which store because I don't want people to be like, oh my god, you went to like such and such place and you almost got kidnapped and blah 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 blah. No, like, it doesn't have anything to do with the store, it has everything to do with these weird people. So I'm at the store. I'm getting groceries, getting some odds and ends. This is a store that's got like, it's groceries, but it's also got like clothes. There's a garden place, like, yeah. So I go and I'm there, and it's like, I'm not gonna say it's late at night. It was like maybe like 8 o'clock. So I'm at the store, I have my list, but there was something that I forgot to write on the list. So I'm going through with my little buggy, putting my stuff in there. And you know, like when you're in a store, whether it's Walmart, Target, you know, wherever you're at, and you start to see the same people and you're like, didn't I just see you? Like, weren't you just in canned goods and now here you are in the produce? But you're like, okay, whatever, you're here grocery shopping like I am. So I see this girl, and at the time I'm like 20, yeah, I'm 20, getting ready to turn 20. No, I'm 21. So I see this girl and she looks about the same age as me. And I see her and she waves at me, and I'm like, okay. Which I guess at the time there was a couple of people who had approached me even on campus, and they were like, hey, you look just like my friend such and such. And I'm like, I have no idea who that is. Yeah, so I just kind of chalked it up to maybe this girl thinks I am somebody else. So I'm like, I wave back nervously and, you know, continue on. So I go down a different aisle and I see her again, but now she's with two guys, which at the time I was a very naive person, and to my own detriment 90% of the time would give the benefit of the doubt. So I'm thinking, oh, okay, well, obviously, like, she knows because she's speaking to these people. This must be her brother, and like maybe they're both her brothers, maybe one of them's her boyfriend, maybe they're both just her friends, you know, whatever. So I go on about my day. I go on about like grocery shopping. So I'm getting stuff and I go into the next aisle that I need to go into. Guess who's in there? This chick and the two dudes again. And I'm like, okay, this is a little weird. Like, I don't want to think she's following me, but I'm starting to feel like I'm being followed. So I do something to test to see if she's following me, and I just go completely off the beaten path. Like, I'm in the grocery section before and I went all the way to clothes, not just clothes, but female clothes, like bras and stuff. So I'm over there. Guess who follows me? And here's how I knew they were following me. She didn't stop and look at any of the clothes. She didn't stop and look at any of, like, I passed shoes. She didn't stop and look at any shoes, any purses, anything. She was right on me real quick. So I'm like, ugh, okay. So I leave out of that section and I go up to
female toiletries.
And I'm like, okay, maybe I can shake the dudes and just, like, if she hates me and thinks I slept with her man or something, maybe I can just fight her one-on-one. I don't know. So I'm thinking, because most males that I've met, not all, but most males that I've met, do not feel comfortable actually going into, like, that section. It's like no man's land. Like, nope, they stop where, like, the tile changes color. They don't go in there. My husband is completely different. He just gets really overwhelmed because there's so much, which for good reason. So I go into this section. All three of them follow me in, and I'm like, okay, things are about to get serious. And I get that, like, that feeling, like, I call it, like, I think it's hypervigilance, but, like, it's like where all the hair on the back of my neck stood up, and I start to, like, get, like, shaky, and I'm like, oh god, this is how I go. This is how I die. These people are probably gonna kill me in the parking lot. Like, I don't know. So I make a turn, and I remember the last thing on the list that I forgot to write down. I was trying to get, like, I think I was trying to get heavy cream. I was gonna make whipped cream for something. I don't know. So I go, and I'm in the dairy section, and I hear, excuse me, miss. Ma'am. And I just am, like, I'm tunnel vision. I'm just going, and then I hear, like, very quick steps. I'm like, oh god, she's running. So, ma'am, excuse me, miss, ma'am. And I'm like, oh. So I, like, grab the heavy cream and I, like, run and I go into a different aisle. At this point, she follows me into this aisle. And I think I was, like, in the baking aisle or something. I don't know. That store has kind of moved their aisles around quite a bit since then. So I'm in, it was the baking aisle, because I remember grabbing, like, chocolate chips or something. So she follows me and she's still, like, yelling out for me. So at this point, like, other people are turning around and it's very unnerving. So Miss, ma'am, hey. And I finally turn around and I'm like, hi. And I literally tell her this. I'm like, I don't work here, but how can I help you? And she was like, oh, actually, I wanted to go ahead and invite you to a place. Like, what is your name? And I'm like, so I tell her my name, which, if y'all don't know, like, my name is Elizabeth, but some of my friends call me Elise, some call me Lizzie, my family calls me Lizzie, my husband calls me Elizabeth, right? So I'm like, oh, Elizabeth? And she's like, oh, well, my name, and I don't even remember her name, but she introduces herself, and she's by herself. She doesn't have those guys with her, so she's by herself, and she tries to shake my hand, and I, like, don't feel comfortable. Something just told me don't shake her hand. So every time, she tries numerous times to shake my hand. So she tries to shake my hand, and this is when I grab the chocolate chips. Every time she went to try to shake my hand, I would grab something and pick it up and, like, pretend I was reading it, because I'm like, I don't know why, but something's telling me not to shake hands with this woman. So she finishes introducing herself and she hands me a card. Now, I have been handed a business card multiple times in my life. Never have I been handed a card that was, like, handwritten. So it wasn't a business card, but like, they made it to try to look like one. It was actually like an index card. Like, you know, the cards that you, like, make notes for to, like, study for tests, or that you make, like, flashcards out of, or that, like, you use for, like, speeches, right? That's what she hands me. An index card. Like, on this card, it's literally like an index card. Like, it's got, like, the little blue lines with the little red line at the top. Like, it's one of those cards, and it has, like, a little hand-drawn, like, church, which was okay, cool, you know, whatever. And it has an email address, and phone number. And I'm kind of like, thank you. She tries to shake my hand a second time. And I grab for something else, I think like sprinkles or something, I don't know. And she says like, yeah, like, you know,
we really would like people to come to our church with us.
And I'm like, oh, well, thanks, but I already have a church. Which, y'all, I'm not like a super religious person. I'm very spiritual. There's certain aspects of the church that I was raised in that I agree with, certain aspects that I don't agree with, and I understand that every church has their scandals, right? But she was like really trying to get me to go to her church, and this is like in the middle of the grocery store. Like, lady, no, like, read the room. Everyone's looking at you because you just screamed at me for like 10 minutes. Follow me around. So she's like,
yeah, we really want people to come to our church and
all that. And I tell her, well, I have a church, thanks though. And she says,
oh, okay, well, what church do you go to?
Girl, like, I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to hang out with you. I don't want to go to church with you. Leave me alone. But I'm nice because I was younger and was very like naive, and I'm trying to give her the benefit of the doubt. And I really wasn't very good with conflict at this point in my life yet. Like, I hadn't really established my personality hadn't been like finalized, so to speak, like when it came to conflict and conflict resolution and everything. So I didn't really know how to detach and break away. If this were to happen to me now, I would just walk away from her and be like, nope, bye, and just keep saying no until she leaves me alone. But no, little 21-year-old me was like, oh, well, I'm Catholic. And she was like,
oh, okay, well, we actually believe some of the same things that like the Catholics
believe. And I'm like, okay. Then, I kid you not, she says,
we believe in God the Mother.
And I'm like, what? And she says,
yeah, we believe in God as the Mother.
And I'm like, oh, okay. Now, mind you, I know last year things came out that, you know, this church doesn't have anything that like about what I'm about to go into or anything like that, but it was very weird vibes. Like, I was getting like I'm about to die and like weird cult vibes from this girl. So she says,
yeah, we believe God the Mother.
And I'm like, oh, okay. And she goes in, this is like the third or fourth time that she tries to shake my hand. So I grabbed walnuts, and I'm holding the walnuts in my hand. I'm looking and I'm like, oh yeah, you know, I really, I'm good with my church. Like, I really don't want to, you know, go to like any other churches right now. And so she sees me grab the walnuts, and I think she's hip to the fact that I'm trying to grab things when she's like trying to shake my hand. So she reaches with her left hand to shake my hand, and I reach in my pocket and I pull my phone out. And so I'm like, you know, thanks so much, but I'm just gonna have to, like, you know, really think about it. Instead of just saying no, of course, I'm like, oh, I have to think about it. So she
says, oh, okay, well, on that card, it has our number.
I'm thinking, cool, she's gonna leave it at this and I can just never talk to her again, right? No, I was wrong. She says,
oh, okay, well, what's your number, and I'll call you, and we can, like, schedule a Bible
study. And I literally, y'all, I have my phone in my hand, and I literally say,
oh, I don't have a phone.
I'm wrong for that. Like, I should not have done that. But so I'm like, I don't have a phone. And she's looking at me and she's like, well, and she points to my phone, and I'm like, oh, well, this is my work phone. Like, I can only call like certain people, and only certain people can call and text me, so I can't actually give you this number. And she was like,
oh, okay.
And then she like grabs her like arm, and like I can tell she feels very uncomfortable. And then here come the two guys, and I'm like, nope. And I I got out of there. I like turned and like made a beeline for the checkouts. And at this point, stores hadn't really, there were some self-checkouts, but the self-checkouts were for like the 20 items or less, right? So I look in my cart real quick and I realize I've got like way more than 20 items. And so I'm like, okay. So I'm going to where there are actual like cashiers, and I see one, like God was looking out, like my guardian angel, somebody was watching over me at that point. I see one checkout that I don't know if she just opened or she was getting ready to close, but the person was literally had put their last thing on the conveyor belt. There was like 3 things that she had left to scan. So I get in this line, and I'm in this line, and I look over my shoulder and I see these 3, you know, the girl and the 2 guys coming toward me, and they're like scanning, looking for me. And I'm like, oh Lord, like I'm not doing this today. I'm not. So I'm like putting stuff on the conveyor belt. Like I put the little stick down, you know, unloading my stuff, and I get in front of the cashier and I'm like, hi. And she's like, oh, hey, trying to be friendly. Did you find everything okay? I'm like, yeah. Like she probably thought I was on crack, like I was trying to steal something. I don't know. But she was very unnerved by me. She's like, oh, okay. And she scans everything. I swipe out and I turn, and they are coming to try to get in line, but there was already 2 people behind me. So at that point, I run out to my car, and I'm literally checking like under my car, the back seat. Now in hindsight, that was a really bad idea, but I'm checking everything to make sure that there's not anybody in my little car, and I load everything up and I go home. I tell my friend about this. Like 1 or 2 other people that know about this. I tell somebody about this on campus, and they were like, oh. And they asked me, because I didn't tell them everything. They asked me, was the girl trying to like make contact with you? And my brain like goes to like aliens, like was she like ET phone home? No. And they're like, yeah, was she like trying to touch you? And I'm like, yes. Like she was trying to touch me like over and over and over again. She kept trying to shake my hand, and they were like, yeah, it's a good thing that you ran, because there's been like things where people were being trafficked. And I'm like, so they were gonna like kidnap me? And they're like, yeah, probably. Like just nonchalant about it. So had I actually let this woman shake my hand, I probably would be in some like, I don't know, probably in some other country right now, being sold for God knows what. But yeah, so that was how I almost got kidnapped, just trying to mind my own business and get my groceries. And yeah, like it was a mess. It was a hot damn mess, and I'm glad I didn't like actually shake her hand. And honestly, in hindsight, I really should have known better, because like growing up, it's not like my parents weren't like, oh, you know, go talk to strangers or something. They weren't like that. They were like, yeah, if you see somebody you don't know, don't talk to them. I don't know why my social butterfly ass decided that I was going to turn around and talk to this lady instead of just like flipping her off and going. But yeah, I almost got kidnapped just trying to get my groceries. So yeah. So yeah, if you guys liked this story time, or if you guys want to see more story times, put in the comments below if you had an interaction like this. I would be very interested to hear, because last year supposedly this church came out and they were like, no, like that's the furthest thing from what we do. We just let people worship God the way that their conscience dictates, and blah 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 blah. And I'm like, whatever, like y'all be trying to steal people, like yeah. So yeah, let me know what your experience with this is. Was it similar to mine? Was it completely different? Did you actually go to one of their little Bible studies? Like, was I wrong? And maybe I should have actually went and saw what it was about. I don't know. But make sure that you like this video, share it, just in case these people are out still trying to grab people. Maybe my experience can help somebody else, and make sure that this doesn't happen again. So yeah, thank y'all so much. Talk to you later.